If you like our videos and you want to see more from us, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification so we can alert you when we release our next video. Anyway, back to this video. Welcome to week 2 of our stretching and mobility program. So a reminder that if to undertake this session at week 2, you're looking to have done week 1 and been doing that for about a week now. And so you want to be repeating that, but a reminder that flexibility does take repeated times to do. So make sure that you've allowed at least a week of doing week 1 before you start week 2. The second and possibly most important thing is, have you done your tests? Have you reassessed your flexibility? I spoke about it in week 1, but it's so important that we're accountable for what we're doing. So if you haven't done your tests, before you take on week 2, go and redo your tests. See if you've made any benefits. But as I say, it's a 4-week program for that reason. We want to allow those 4 weeks for the changes to happen. So if you haven't received an email from me or haven't signed up to the program, the links are in the description. So head on over and sign up and we'll get those sent across to you. But today's session we're very much working on the floor. We're going to work the same muscle groups, but we're going to work in a different way, perhaps a slightly more intense way. So we'll get going now. So all you want to be doing is finding a place where you've got plenty of space and just lying on the floor. And the first thing we're going to do is get into our dynamic warm-up. So first thing is just bringing one leg up and resting it back down. Then the second leg and back down. Just working through nice and slowly. Remember we said when we're preparing for exercise, preparing for competition, this is where we want to be doing our dynamic stretching. So just keep working through. Couple more of those. Good. And down, back. Then just bring both your legs up. So you've got this raised position and all you're doing is dropping the legs down to one side and then the other. And we're just mobilizing through those hips there. So I'm trying to keep my shoulders relatively flat on the floor and just have the movement and the rotation through those hips as I just work through. Just opening up and keeping those nice and mobile. Good. More of those, just warming up, warming those muscles, getting the blood supply to the area so that they're nice and warm, ready for our static stretching, the stretching that we need to improve our flexibility that we're going to get onto in a second. Good. Couple more. And then I just want you to turn onto your front. We're going to work those quad muscles. So all you're doing now is looking to just bring those feet up and back down. Again, these can be nice and slow as we work through. Good. Good. So we just, whilst we're contracting the hamstrings, the stretch is happening at those front quad thigh muscle areas. Good. A few more of those. Back down. And then we're just going to do a dynamic stretch of the hip flexors. So for this one, we're laying flat and you're just bringing that leg back up. Good. So taking it into hip extension, like we spoke about in week 1, taking them into the opposite direction that they contract. So our hip flexors lift the hip. So what we want to be doing to stretch them is just extending that hip. A few more through. Good. Okay. And then what we're going to do now is get into the bulk of our session. So a reminder that with these static stretches, we're looking to take a muscle to a point where you feel the fibers stretch. So it doesn't matter how far you're going. We're all going to be different. So once you feel those fibers elongate, that's when you know you're at the correct position to be holding. You want to be at a position where you can maintain the stretch for 30 seconds. So don't force it that you can't hold that position. Just get to a comfortable position and hold for 30 seconds. Even if after 15 seconds, you're finding that actually it's quite comfortable, take it a little bit further then, but start slow. So the first one we're going to do is our glutes, like we did last week, but for this stretch, all you're going to do is bend both legs. Place one foot on top of the thigh. This is the side that we're going to stretch. But then what you want to do is lift the other leg so that it comes up. Okay, and what you should feel now in the bent leg is a pull around the hip area. And we're just looking to hold that for 30 seconds. Again, we spoke about the glutes being our biggest, most powerful muscle. We use those a lot, but they can commonly become quite underactive, particularly if we've been sitting around a lot, and that will develop trigger points in the area. So these can get tight and you can feel that around the hip, but very important that we're stretching them out. Just going to hold that a few more seconds. Good. And as I said, if you feel comfortable, take it a little bit further. In a perfect world, you're looking to get this leg, the non-stretching side, to about 90 degrees. We'll hold for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we're just going to change it over. So onto the other side, we just bring the foot up and on, and then again, we're up and through. Good. Now hold. You might notice my left side is a little bit tighter. I don't quite get this leg as far. So I notice a restriction on the left side. So you might be noticing that one side's tighter than the other. That's great feedback, great things to know, because then you can spend extra attention on that during the course of the next week. Maybe do this stretch a couple of times. Good, just hold that through. What you might find, if you find it difficult, is you can get where you hook your hands in between the leg or in the lifting leg, and then just pull that back to get an extra stretch on there for these last 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great. And we're just going to take it now onto our front. So we're going to work the thigh and quad tissue. Okay, we did this last week in standing, and this is going to be a slightly more difficult stretch. But all you're going to do is look to bring that foot up with the aim of touching your bottom. Now, you want to make sure, again, I said, it's all about form. So keep these legs nice and straight. Now, you might not be able to get to your bottom. That's fine. It might be difficult for you to sort of grab hold of the ankle. If you've got loose trousers on, socks, edge of shoes, feel free to grab hold of those and pull those in. If you're particularly tight through the quad tissue, what you can find is that actually your hamstrings might start to cramp. That tells us that you're tight in the quads. So don't create cramp, just get to where you can and hold. Good, so just going to hold that for another 10 seconds. And then relax off. Good. And then the next one, we're just going to bring that one up. And again, in a perfect world, we're looking to get that foot to touch the bottom. That's what we're aiming for. But wherever you get to at this stage, that's fine. This is one we use as our test to reassess. And hopefully after 4 weeks, you're then there. But again, if you can, don't have the leg out to the side. Have it nice and straight. The knee tucked in against the other knee or the other thigh. In through. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're just going to change this position now onto our side, because what we're going to work here is the mobility of the hip flexors, one that I often feel is forgotten but so important. It's a similar stretch, this one, because we're going to go into that position that we were just doing. But what I want you to do now is to try and pull that foot back, so my knee goes back behind my body or my other leg, and you should feel that stretch slightly higher up. You're into this area here. Good. Those hip flexors, again, when we're sitting, they become tight, shortened, but we don't often stretch these. They're a forgotten muscle, but they attach into that lower back. So we find in clinic that they're a big cause of lower back pain. It's a really important one to get a nice stretch through. Good. Hold in there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And then we're just going to take that onto the other side. So foot comes back, bring that into straight wherever you can get to with that foot. So, and then the movement is that pull back in order to get into the front of those hip flexors. Good. Okay, and if you can now in the second half of this stretch, just pull it back a little bit further. Extend that stretch. I'll do there. Okay, we're just going to go 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. And as we're in this position, what I wanted to do is just get into a lower back stretch. Really good one, what we call child's pose, where we just come onto our hands and knees, hands out in front of us, and then you just drive that bottom back and onto your heels. And you just look to push through. Good. As we hold. Now, the important thing with this stretch, I find, to really get a better lower back stretch, is just take your hands off to one side. Now, as I've taken my hands off to this side, you'll feel it stretch the opposing side in that lower back. Good. So just hold that position. And then come out and into the other side. And again, you're looking to get as far around as you can get. The further around you get with the arms, the bigger the stretch. And come off. We're just going to go into our hamstrings now. Now, for the hamstrings, what I want you to do is stay onto one knee, but the side that we're looking to stretch, just put your heel out in front of you. And you see I've just raised that toe a little bit to put that hamstring under stretch. Now, you might start to feel that stretch there, but you'll get a bigger stretch as you look to lean forward. So as you lean forwards, you should feel that really work in the back of the leg there. We'll hold that there for a few seconds. But again, you may recall from week 1 that I mentioned about trying to hit each of the individual 3 hamstrings. So if we change that toe position, by turning that toe out, you should then feel that stretch move a little bit. And we'll hold that position there. And then we'll bring our toe in. And again, this one's really looking to isolate that outside hamstring, or we call the lateral hamstring. Hold that there for a few more seconds. Good. And then slowly come out and off of that stretch and take it into the other one. Okay, so hamstring there. Lean forwards. Now lean as far as you can go. You might find that you're a little unstable on this one. That's fine to hold on. It really doesn't make too much difference, because it's more about that lean. How far you can get into that, how far you can flex those hips will create a bigger stretch through that hamstring tissue. What's important is that we're keeping that knee nice and straight. So not this sort of thing we're here. Good, then we'll take that toe out, and that should move it slightly more towards the inside. And then we'll bring that toe in. And now we're further into the stretch. You might be able to go a little bit further. Yeah, just relax off. And then we're going to take it into a groin stretch. Now this is very easy to get into from that position. This time, rather than going straight ahead, we're just going to come off to the side. Same thing, toe inverted, and then we look to lean forwards into that stretch. So now you should feel it more on the inside. Good. So again, in week 1, we did this in standing, but what we then did was move that toe position. So if we move the toe out, you'll feel that stretch change position. And then if we feel that toe move in, you'll feel that straight change again. Keep it working through. And again, if you want to extend this stretch, make it a bigger stretch, just ease forwards a little bit. There. And then we'll slowly look to come out of that stretch, and we'll just change it onto the other side. Good, and we're just into here. Again, we want these programs to be short. We don't want to take too long over these, but they're just an important part, often a forgotten part. And one thing I just wanted to address is people ask me, when should I be doing these? Should I be doing these before exercise, after exercise? To take that toe out. Really, for me, the most important time to be static stretching is after exercise. It's the time when the muscles are short and tight. So then we want to be stretching them out. So really important that we don't just finish exercise and leave those muscles really tight. And then, as I mentioned, it then needs to be repeated regularly. Just take that toe in, repeated regularly. So we want to keep it little and often. So 5 or 10 minutes a day will really have a huge benefit on increasing your flexibility. Last stretch, last area that we want to be tackling now is the calves. Okay, now to do this one, so we're going to go into a sort of into our hands and feet position. And what you want to be doing is just walking your hands backwards, and as you take your heels towards the floor. Now, when those heels get flat towards the floor, you should be feeling that now pulling through the back. It doesn't matter how far back you can get until you feel that stretch. Same principles apply. Once you feel that stretch, you're just looking to hold. We spoke about the importance of this, the ability to be flexible at the ankle, to have that dorsiflexion. That's the movement that's key, really, to not causing any problems further up that kinetic chain. 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and then just slowly come out of that stretch. And then that's us done for week 2. So, as I said, what you want to be doing now is taking this program and repeating this daily, spending 5 or 10 minutes doing this every day. If you haven't done those tests, I urge you to go and redo those. Make sure you're accountable for your actions and seeing your progress. Work this for the next week, and then I'll see you at week 3. Thank you very much.